Hey, Heart Warriors, it's your girl, Kloii Hummingbird, and it's your favorite podcast, Where's the Love, where I talk about all things pop culture, politics, and my personal opinion. And y'all, I am tired, okay? I am so tired. I am an artist, a creator, who also has a full-time day job to pay the bills, to fund my life, my art, and everything. And there was a time in my life where I was completely living on teaching and my art all at once, and I was just blessed to do so. But as the life of an artist goes, sometimes you're up with your art, and sometimes, I don't want to say you're down, but you're in a space that maybe your art isn't completely funding everything in your life that you want it to fund. And that is where I am, but that's okay. All this other money I'm getting from a full-time job is allowing me the space to create my podcast, to work on my writing, and so many things that I just have in store that it's too soon to mention now, or maybe not too soon, but they're a little bit incomplete, and I don't want to mention it yet, okay? It's right now 9 p.m. at night. I work a job that is like 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. I have weekends off, and I'm so tired. I really wanted to get this podcast in because this podcast really means so much to me. Coming up later in the month, we're going to have a Palestine episode. I'm going to have a friend come on and sort of educate us about all things Palestine. And I thought it was fitting to do this in December because, you know, Jesus was Palestinian and all that, and Christ Christmas, you know, happy holidays. So it just made sense all around. I also want to share some cute little beauty hacks that I've been doing lately. I don't know if you guys have been noticing. This isn't one of my beauty hacks. It's just me trying and attempting to do makeup better. I've been trying to practice my contouring. I don't know if you notice. It's a little, if you don't notice, it's okay. I'd rather it be like subtle than like too pronounced. It's just a little bit. I'm trying to sculpt. I'm trying to do a thing. And I'm also trying to like do lip liner for the first time. Can you tell? If you're listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify, you will not know what I'm talking about because you can't see me. But if you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe wherever you are listening or watching, friends. But you know, YouTube is the place to be. So when you're watching along with me, let me know. Do you like the lip liner, or do you like my more like demure look when it's just like the pink and rosy lips? I'm trying out new things. So that is just something that I'm trying. But my new beauty hack is I use my Revlon One Step hair dryer. It's like a hand dryer paddle brush. And I just like went through it with my ponytail this morning a few times because it was like a little wet after I got out of the shower, and it's just a nice quick way instead of like having to go through the blow dryer and then like completely straighten my hair all again. It looks like I already straightened it. Isn't that cute? Yes. I'm gonna do a video and like put it on my TikTok and my YouTube shorts of like my outfits that I wear to corporate in a week. So stay tuned for that. Like I'm so busy, you guys. Like I'm so busy. These things will be posted. I have like 3 yoga videos that you can follow along with on my YouTube channel that will be eventually posted, but I am editing them. Like everything's backed up in editing because I am my own artist, I am my own videographer, I am my own editor, and I have a day job. So, and unfortunately, I need to sleep. Like, why do we need to sleep? Like that, we need to just like rip that out of the equation as humans. Like 3 days a week, no sleep. Like, can we evolve to that? Anyway, another one of my beauty hacks that is new for me, I'm currently wearing pasties, and for like the homies in the itty bitty titty committee, is that what they used to call it, right? Like if you don't really want to wear a bra, but you don't want to be boing and so obvious with your nipples because humans have eyes, I just have like these pasties that I like just did a photo shoot that I accidentally took them with me. I'm like, oh crap, but I love them. It looks like I'm wearing a bra, but I'm not. So get the ones that are for you, nice like latex quality, or like the rubber ones, and not like the glittery ones. Something that is like durable and can sustain and give you that nice round natural shape in your bosom, darling. So I'm all about the pasties. Are the girls already doing this? Because I feel like I just accidentally came up with this hack, and I'm like, I'm totally doing this, because I was wearing an outfit the other day and it was low cut and it showed my bra. Like that happened like 2 days in a row with like different outfits and different bras too. So it's so annoying. But I was like, oh, you know, what if I just do this? And yes, hack. So if you haven't tried that, try it. Getting you your little blow dry for your hair, that Revlon. They not paying me, babies, but they should. That Revlon paddle brush, one step. Yes. And again, drop in the comments. Let me know if you can tell with this contouring, if it's actually showing, and if the liner should continue to stay lined on my lips. I have been watching so many videos on TikTok about working in corporate, because it's been so long because I worked in a corporate space, and also what it's like to work in corporate as a Black person, and how to work in corporate as a Black woman, and how to work in corporate with a narcissist. All are applicable in my life right now. Luckily, I love my job. It's a really good day job. It's consistent. I go in, I know what to expect every day. It's good enough pay, and people are okay enough and don't bother me. But the one particular person was not so nice. But I still work there. I won't get into it. But hey, maybe one day I'll do a tell-all. Read my memoir coming one day. I was going to say coming soon. Not coming soon at all. But I know I'm going to write a memoir one day. And I'm going to spill all the tea about all the people who are mean to me unnecessarily. Anyway, bitch, did y'all see that Diddy doc? And y'all know which one I'm talking about. Apparently there have been many that I have not seen. The Reckoning, produced by 50 Cent. The director is a woman. And I love that it was a female director because of the sensitive nature of the situation. And I assume she's the person who was like, you know, asking everyone all the questions, you know, behind the scenes of the camera that we didn't see, of all the witnesses and his past friends and acquaintances talking to. This shit was fucking flabbergasting. I don't even know what the fuck else to say. I'm fucking flabbergasted. Like, this is lore from my entire life coming to, I was like, you know, I was born in the 90s, you know, I was like a baby, so I'm not even born when some of this stuff was going down, but yet it was still like 2000s, like 2010s, like the Tupac conversation never stopped. And maybe I'm naive, tell me, like, yell at me in the comments about it if you need to. I never saw that clip. You gotta watch it. If you have not watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there is a clip. I think it's maybe episode 2 or 3, because it's a 4-part docuseries, Diddy the Reckoning, produced by Petty's 50 Cent. Oh my god. And y'all, Diddy's a Scorpio. Why you gotta make Scorpios look like this? Okay, so when you're an immature Scorpio, they were saying on TikTok, an astrologer was saying there's only 3 signs that could do something crazy like this: a Scorpio, a Gemini, and a Leo. And I was hoping it was not so, because we're good people. I'm a Scorpio. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a clip with Tupac saying that it was Diddy. Like, he know it was Diddy. I've never seen this clip for my whole life. It was like speculation that they think he had potentially something to do with it. Like, you know, Biggie had something to do with it, or Diddy had something to do with it. But I never saw, like, no, Tupac confirmed through his own mouth on camera in front of a room full of people. Has everybody else saw it? Did y'all see that? Homies in the back? There's nobody in the room with me. I'm talking to y'all on the camera. What? Like, did anybody see that? Like, people in the like 90s who were alive and not babies then, like, did y'all see that clip? I feel like Diddy had to wipe that from the internet or something. Why did we not take that seriously as a humanity if that was the case? It's so crazy, like the collective blindness society could have, just consciously or unconsciously decide to mute ourselves to something that is right in front of us. Like, cognitive dissonance has to be fucking studied more because it's quite fucking fascinating. In this documentary, they had his childhood best friend who became his co-founder, who was dropping all the tea, all of the tea, honey. And then we had two fuck-ass jurors, terrible jurors, in my professional artistic opinion, in my my artistic activistly opinion, they was fucking punk ass, stupid, pick me, unintelligent jurors. One of the jurors doesn't know anything about the cycles of violence and how you can continue to come back and forgive and, you know, think that your aggressor, your victimizer is gonna stop victimizing you because maybe you're a good person who wants to believe the best in people. That's like part of the cycle. And he's not aware of that. So he's like, well, Cassie went back. She must have wanted it. She must have liked it. It must have not been that bad. And then this woman who was obviously a fan, who people on TikTok, they have spilled the tea and found out that this woman has literally a fan, has a picture. She's met Diddy in person at like a fan event before. So, or some type of event. How was she on the jury? But I guess money talks, as they say. They did not mention Kim Porter in there. I mean, because some people allegedly be thinking that maybe Diddy has something to do with that because she died very young. Anyway, and apparently there was a member of Jodeci who was attacked in his home right around the time all this stuff was happening in the 90s and stuff. And he was like home broken into, robbed, beaten, and apparently he's never been the same. I heard this on Blue Centric's YouTube page. She did a live and she was saying like around the same time, and I looked it up, it's July 1993. It was a member of Jodeci, Devontae Swing. He fine, y'all, cute. He was attacked in his home, held at gunpoint, and nearly $20,000 worth of jewelry stolen from him. And according to fellow Jodeci member, Mr. Dalvin, Devontae bit one of the assailant's fingers off during the ordeal and described it as life-altering and permanently scarring. So, do we not think it was who we think it is? I mean, and if you did not watch it, I'm saying this because freaking Diddy was Jodeci's A&R rep. An A&R rep, he is somebody who does scouting. He does marketing, comes up with the look for the group, maybe even the dance moves, because Diddy was a dancer, like really integral in forming the like vibration of a group. You know what I'm saying? And the assailants were never caught. So fascinating. They never mentioned Kim Porter. Apparently Tupac's, somebody else got a trial for Tupac next year. That is just so much going on, and my brain is just like not even ready to get into all of that. So I won't. I'm keep it pushing. Wowzers. On a lighter note, maybe. Have y'all seen Wicked for Good? Oh, okay, let me just say that Wicked, the first part, uplifting, inspirational, darling. When Cynthia Erivo got into the end, she was like, she flew in the air and I'm going to the western sky. Oh. You know, like we were feeling her save the animals, stop the oppression, fight the system. You know, all the things. We were 10 toes, 20 toes down. Okay, but then they could have ended it there. We didn't need part 2. Part 1, Ooh, ooh, and I heard some facts about the books. Ooh, it's even worse, y'all. It's even worse. It's even worse. But about the movie, part 2 pissed me all the way the fuck off, and it was triggering to any woke person, especially the black girls nationwide, but particularly if you are a POC who has ever dealt with a white friend, who ever thought just having a black friend was good enough. I'm pissed off because Galinda gets to pat herself on the back as if she's a good friend, but really, in fact, nobody would have been bullying that woman in high school or college, whatever the fuck, if you was not bullying her. They would have been like, oh, green girl, kept it pushing, but Galinda created this narrative of being like, oh, so bullied and victimized. I'm so petite, I'm so small, I'm so victimized by this green girl. So the popular girl basically bullied everybody into thinking this girl was horrible, and then gave her a hat that she didn't even think was cute to troll her. And when she actually liked the gift and actually looked good and the thing in which she was being trolled with, she went to a dance and was made fun of because of the hat. And so you, Galinda, felt bad. You felt bad that people were bullying her, which is what you wanted. And so you thought, oh, let me spread some of my popularity onto her because I'm such a good person. But really what you were feeling was guilt. And hopefully ashamed of your actions. But guilt and shame are useless emotions if you don't actually rectify and be a good person. Okay, maybe you changed for good, but why did it come at the expense of all the good people dying in your life? And we want to say for good, you good, but you didn't even clear Elphaba's name. Elphaba is who you know is the best person you ever met in your life, who's better than you, and you know it. You let her be in exile, and they killed Fiero. They would have if she didn't do this spell. Now he's a scarecrow forever. I don't know why she gave the book to you. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so then you get rewarded with powers at the end. Okay, I guess the moral of the story is nonchalant, selfish, bad people win. Cool. And why did the wizard end up like leaving? Because he would have been like ashamed if people found out he was related to the Wicked Witch, who name he propagandized. Again, he did the same thing like Galinda did, made everybody think she was bad and so terrible when she wasn't. So that's the worst thing that can happen to you, knowing that this girl's daddy. Like everybody finding that out, like that was weird. Like I guess they really take Debbie dads like really seriously in Munchkin Land. Speaking of Munchkin Land, Nessa, what the hell? What in the fascist hell? Because that was fucking crazy. That was crazy. Now you're restricting where people can move. You're feeling really Israeli right now. Okay, calm it down. Let the munchkins roam. Let freedom ring. You guys, I'm having audio issues. Being a podcast is not easy, darling. So I'm doing my best. I know the audio probably sounds slightly different every upload, but to the true ones who keep popping back through, because you know I'm gonna figure it out. You was the ones who were here from the beginning. We go look back at this moment. Okay. Anyway, I potentially got undiagnosed ADHD. Back to Wicked Fiero. And I said this on my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe. He was so cavalier in the way in which he left his motherfucking wedding. Well, it was clear that he did not want that. He was like, sure, you want to get married? Okay. I'm thinking that he had a strategy like, okay, she's used to getting what she wants. I don't want to hit and anger her, because in angering her, I could potentially lose my power as like this knight or this guard. And how am I ever gonna have any, goal to help, or any resources to help Elphaba then? So I'm thinking that's why he just sort of strung fucking Galinda along. I know that's controversial, and I said what I said. He strung her along because he could have just told the girl, I don't want you. These men be with these women, and when it's just like, oh, it's good enough. He was settling. He was like, it feels you're pretty enough. We get along enough. It's not quite right. I don't really want you like that, but it's enough. Why shouldn't I want you? Why wouldn't I want you? Meanwhile, in the whole book, apparently, spoiler for the book, he got a whole ass family, an arranged marriage, because he's the prince back home before he even gets with Elphaba. And apparently he was never with Galinda in the book, allegedly, because I haven't read the book. These are people telling me in my comments, and I'm believing them, but baby, drop it in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm not trying to give you false tea here, okay? Back to the movie. Fiyero. He so cavalierly left this girl at her wedding that why wouldn't she think, oh, y'all was having an affair all along? I would think it too. Anyone would. He just left. And then when he come back, he got the nerve to point the gun to her face. Galinda better than me. Honestly, I will give Galinda this. I will give her credit for this moment. This is when I potentially saw some growth, because maybe after it was a little too late, after Nessa died. Even though I won't really put that on her, because Mrs. Marble was crazy. She was crazy. And all she said was, you gotta make her feel like her sister's in danger, and then she comes. She didn't say put her sister actually in fucking danger, create a storm, and create Oz and mix it up with Kansas and Munchkinland and America. That was not the plan, Mrs. Morrible, or whatever his name is. Can't keep cussing like that. I ain't monetized yet, and I ain't trying to get demonetized before I start. These are still my work clothes, like I said. I look cute in this blazer, you guys. Look at this. I get a lot of clothing. I'm such a model. I get a lot of clothing from clothing swaps, from thrift stores, and from vintage shops. So I like to get like a little funky thing, but I like to make it like, a Draja pixie. You know what I mean? So Fiyero holds a gun up to her head, and she, better than me, it was like, guards, don't hurt him. Can't you see? He's in love with her. It's not his fault. She gets it. And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I wish they could have had some radical honesty earlier, before, and would have just been like, yo, I really am sorry. I care about Elphaba. Maybe he didn't want to say that because he didn't even know if Elphaba felt the same. So he didn't want to be like, oh, I want to be with Elphaba. Maybe he just wants to be like, I want to help Elphaba. Maybe he was also in the process of feeling his feelings and figuring this out the whole time. Well, through this, he did not want Galinda like that. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe I give him some credit. Maybe he's figuring it out. You know what? I had a whole TikTok about this cussing his ass out. But now that I think about it, maybe it's not so easy and linear. And sometimes you're figuring it out and life is happening at you and monkeys are flying and your friend is missing and it's a wedding that just happened. So maybe everything is just flying at you at once and you're just trying to do things all at once and it doesn't come out right. And so actually now maybe I may be Team Fiyero. I wasn't not Team Fiyero from before, but it was cold how he just left that girl. Ooh, and then when Galinda was on the freaking steps, and she's like, oh no, I'm not that girl. Ouch. Because he didn't even give her no, warning. But she knew he was checked out. They were using each other, though. It was like fucking Ivanka, what's her name? Melania Trump. Whatever the fuck her name is. She was like, oh, we're using each other. We're using each other moments. Best funniest moment is also with Fiyero. Funniest moment from the entire movie is when after they run off together with him and Elphaba, they run off together to like little treehouse situation. They're like post coitus, you know what I'm saying? And they're talking, and he was like, yo, you know, you can hide out in my family's like castle. And he's like, well, she's like, where's your family gonna stay? And she's like, oh, in her other castle. And she's like, oh, right. Like, he like doesn't even realize how privileged he is. She's like, oh yeah, other castle. Not that she a little polo thing. She's a governess, you know, she's a governess daughter, you know, governess daughter. Her daddy weird, but I think her daddy also know that her mama cheated, because like, why are you green? Like, and so every time he looks at her, it's like, you not only remind me of like my dead wife, you also potentially remind me of my deceived wife. So, but it was just so crazy, the stark difference between how much he hated his daughter Elphaba and how much he hated his daughter Nessa. I mean, loved his daughter. He loved him some Nessa. That's all I gotta say about this thing, because I was disappointed. I don't want a friend like Galinda. I think she did the bare minimum. Yay, she let the animals come back from Oz. Did she freaking let the munchkins roam after Nessa died? What about that governor ordinance? What she could do about that? Elphaba's still banished, because she thinks Elphaba is dead because we can't trust you because you proved that you're an unreliable friend. That's why when the freaking poppies went around in the class, you were not the one who could be trusted. That's why Fiyero stayed alive, because he was woke. He was down. It's a metaphor. It reminds me of that movie They Live. You know that movie They Live? This whole time I was thinking it was a completely other thing. I thought this movie was about when you put on the shades, like these black glasses, right? These shades. You see people, and like the people that look all kind of like robotic, like you could see those are the people, that's the man, those people who tapped into the system. And then it could be anybody, not like just the white people, right? It could be anybody. And then I thought the people who were like, look like normal people when you wear the glasses, those were the people who are woke, who could be trusted, who were tapped in. Whole time, that was not what it was about at all. It was aliens, alien body snatchers. That's what those things were. Completely missed the plot, but I think my version's better. I'm just kidding. I think my symbolism is kind of maybe right. If you think about it, I don't know. We'll think about it later. Anyway, it's time for our main cheaty chat. I had my cousin V come on and talk about Stranger Things, yeah. But don't worry. It's not no spoilers for episodes 1 through 4 yet. But don't worry, she will be trekking back around here to talk about the first half of season 5. And then she'll come later on in the month to talk about the second half of season 5. Okay, but we're not going to be talking about that. Right now we're talking about season 1 through 4, and particularly one of my favorite episodes in season 3. I'll let you guys tell me what's your favorite episode of season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. If you have like one Mondo favorite episode, just choose that. But, you know, for fun, maybe just drop like 4 episodes, one of each. My favorite episode shall be revealed with my cousin. But first, I want to let you know that it is about an hour in length. No spoilers again of season 5. And we talk about all things from Eddie to our favorite moments, our favorite character dynamics, and what character we are rooting to have a completely life change. So without further ado, the Stranger Things episode, part 1 of 3? Question mark? 3. Yeah, totally. It's 3, y'all. I'm just kidding. Stranger Things, the final season, season 5, will be out November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. And I want to talk about that with V here. She is not only my cousin, but she is in the mental health field. And all our lives, we have just loved character analysis and just studying human nature and having like hours-long conversations about that. I'm lying. Years-long conversations about certain characters. I'm sure we have to bring her back on just to have an overview of our sci-fi characters that are just will live rent-free in our heads forever. But until then, for now, I want to talk about Stranger Things at large, our favorite characters, but specifically through the lens of chapter 4, the Sauna Test. It's season 3, episode 4. Because I feel like it's so rich in character development and rich in like 2 character scenes, those really intimate scenes that are some of the things that make me fall in love with acting and your, character relationship work in the first place. Without further ado, Vivi in the house.
I just recently did a rewatch, so things are really fresh on my mind. So I think this is a great time to have a conversation like this. What did I think? I actually did it as kind of my first watch. I mean, I did it kind of as a passion project, as a connector with my friend. She was going through something at the time, and I was just like, all right, like she's been kind of heavily hinting, aka aggressively asking for me to watch this show. So I did it as like that, and I was just gonna kind of grin and bear it, so to speak. I mean, I knew she had good taste, but so I didn't think it would be horrible. But I was just gonna do like that. But actually, the more and more I watched, I was like, hey, this is pretty good. And I think for me, season 3, which is, I know we're going to get into an episode from that. Season 3 was actually where it became like, oh, it went from like this really cute show to like, oh, this is getting good. Some little supernatural stuff started happening. Got a little dark. I was like, all right, I'm on board now. So I really like it.
Season 3, we talking about that season because I'm binge watching everything right now to prepare for the final season. And I must say that just season 3, he just lives in my heart. Season 4, I mean, Eddie, eternal tears for Eddie, justice for Eddie. Well, not justice for Eddie because he went out how he wanted, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So you got into season 3 because a friend, and then you were like, oh yeah, this is one of the best TV shows of all time. I agree.
Yeah, and I think friendship is big for me, and it's a show about friendship. So I think, honestly, they end up combining 2 of the things that I really like to see in my shows, which is like a little, supernatural vibe, witchiness a little bit, and then like, and some friendship. So, yeah, I've enjoyed the journey.
I really love coming of age stories, like movies like Sandlot growing up. Still is like, to me, one of the best movies of all time. Just, I've been really fortunate in my life to, at certain moments of time, have like little pockets of friend groups, and not everybody gets to have that. And I'm like, I know what that's like, where like, even if it feels very like the Breakfast Clubby and like these people have no business knowing each other, being together, but somehow we just like work and it all just makes sense. So I just love the show, and I think that's why a lot of people like it. Rather it's like nostalgia for that friendship, coming of age time, or just like they always have like those 80s thing, like the Jaws poster in the background, and when they go to the movie theater, they're like, oh, Back to the Future's out, like that's really cool for, I think, people who were alive at that time or kids at that time. So let's go through. Please, let's just start. I was gonna go through the plot of it and take it because they have like kind of two-person scene, but let's just jump with what I already wanted to talk to you about. The scene in the car with Nancy and Jonathan right after they got fired. I don't even want to say anything about my opinion on that, but for the people who may not remember or don't know, they were fired. They were interns working at a newspaper station, and their boss was their mind was flayed by the mind flayer, Tom Holloway, who was Nancy's boss. And I mean, he was already kind of low key a jerk before that happened, but I feel so bad after everything that happened. Justice for that guy. I mean, jeez.
I'm just saying that didn't feel like a flayed moment. That felt like her boss being her boss. I digress.
I mean, no, I mean, I do want to note in that scene, there was something about that when I was watching it with my boyfriend, I'm like, it was a little bit off kilter. I don't know if they were trying to do like a Hitchcockian thing where like the angles of him, he was super sweaty by that point. Like he had already been taken over and all that. So, but it was just, he never had a chance. But justice for Billy, justice for that guy. That was a gritty season. I think even season 4 got even more gritty. Huh?
Be the unpopular one and say I'm not concerned with his justice.
I mean,
So yes,
you
but justice
know,
overall for human life,
right,
sure.
right. She's like, save my justice for those who matter. That scene, they just got fired. They're in the car.
I told you over and over to drop this story, that it was a bad idea, but you refused, and now I'm screwed.
It's a summer job. Your life is hardly over.
I don't live in a 2-story house on Maple Street. My dad doesn't earn 6 figures. Hell,
What do you think about that? I have so many dots, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll kind of bounce off each other a bit.
Maybe we'll start with Jonathan's point of view.
Yeah, I think for me, I was able to. I've seen people who are like more polarizing on both sides, and we'll I guess see where you land. But for me, I was able to hold both positions very early on. But of course, I'm biased almost in both directions. I've had the lived experience of being a woman and broke. So I think that's the dynamic that you're seeing in this argument. You're seeing a poverty versus this like gender inequality kind of discussion. And I know both sides. So I'm like, I was able to kind of hold both sides. I think you said getting into Jonathan. Jonathan is like of the perspective of like, you're treating this job, this internship, like it's nothing. And I think for him, this is very much something. This for him is like steady income, maybe a way in which to like help his family out, So while Nancy sees it as just like an opportunity to kind of do something else, I think he sees it as like, his like very much his future. I think Nancy sees it as like a stepping stone. I think he sees it as like his future. And I think for her not to like consider him and consider like the impact of losing stability in his life, that was very frustrating for him, especially since he warned her along the way. So I think that was kind of Jonathan's point of view. And then Nancy point of view, which I really love the dynamic here because he's all like, I don't live in a 2-story house, He's like, I don't have a nuclear family, like, because Nancy has a lot of privileges. And I think in this scene, she forgets those, you're a white woman, 2-parent household, and I think she forgets it. And he's like reminding her of something she's not always like cognizant of, but I think he's like, just deal with the world. And like, that's when I think for me, I'm able to switch places and be in Nancy's position. And it's like, deal with the world. It's like, dude, we don't live in the same world. Our world experience is completely different. You don't live in a woman's world. So
this is why as a writer, when I hear the Duffer Brothers say like, oh yeah, it took us 10 years to write Stranger Things, I'm like, I get why, because it's like, this is layers on layers and layers. This is Jose. It's thought out. Okay. I love that you have this introspection about Jonathan because I feel like my bubble has been burst. So I'm maybe seeing every episode twice now. I saw it when it maybe first came out or a little after. And then now I don't even know what year. Should we look that up? What year did Stranger Things season 3 come out? Oh my gosh, 2019. So this is so long ago. This is what the year I graduated college or something, right? So when I watched this, I was just like on Nancy's side. I don't know, maybe we were deep in like Me Too at that time. And I maybe was not seeing, I'm like acknowledging my potential bias because I'm like, why didn't I see it? And this is potentially why. I was only seeing Nancy's side. So now I'm like seeing it from maybe more wise, non-biased eyes, and I'm watching it and I'm like, I 1000% see Jonathan's side. I'm like, how did I not see this before? When he literally said the line like, I don't even, he's just alluding to like, you're spoiled, you're selfish in this situation. Like, you're not seeing how you could potentially go to all these great colleges with either your smarts or just your daddy's money alone if you have the privilege to even be accepted into these colleges. And even if you decide to like maybe do nothing with your life, you have pretty privilege. So you'll maybe be able to marry a Steve Harrington, a Steve the Hair Harrington, etc. Versus, I think we find out next season, maybe he already had the intention in this season. He doesn't want to go off to college. He's very okay with just going to some community college and being as close as possible to help his mom. So like you said, maybe in his mind, which I didn't even think about before, which is so crazy. I'm like, I feel like I pride myself on seeing all angles of the situation, but I did not, I failed as a Scorpio, so I didn't see the sides. And yeah, like in season 4, he wants to stay
home, and maybe that internship could have been like, okay, I'll move from the mailroom getting coffee, and now I'm literally one of these guys who are these asshole guys who I don't respect, but I know with intention I was moving up to help my family and potentially to be able to be one income and have a Nancy who doesn't have to work like her mom, etc. But he knows like we're in high school, it's gonna take me time to become the man you want me to be. And so all that is like, but this could have been my ticket to get you that life, bitch. You fucked it up. Like I can maybe see in his mind, like, don't you, it's an internship. I mean, this probably wasn't even an unpaid internship. I don't know. They white, maybe it was paid internship. I don't know. And then on Nancy's side, like exactly the same. You were like, yeah, but it's not, we don't live in the same world. You don't understand the challenges and the things that you're telling me to suck up. We're not just like sucking up no pay and waking up early and, these grunge hours working with these assholes, like, and not being listened to. Like, I am actually experiencing like sexual harassment. I am actually experiencing like sexism. I'm literally being demeaned based on my gender, even though I'm the rightest person in the fucking room right now. You know what I mean? Like, that rat thing was weird. She kept talking about the rat. It was weird, but it was weirdly interesting. It's like, yeah, that is super weird. Like, a couple people talk about it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I would dig into it as an editor. It's a fucking small town. I got that much to talk about. Like, talk about these damn rats.
And I think like an additional thought that came up for me is like, I noticed for me, as soon as she gets this job in season 4, it like every time I watch it, it riles me up.
3.
Like, season 3. Yes, in season 3, it riles me up. Like, I feel like a piece of me dies every time I watch her in that office. And I don't think he's able to relate to like pieces of you dying every time you go to work. And that's what the experience was, because she's like being dehumanized, she's being ridiculed. She's having people, Nancy's smart. I bet she's like on a roll. And she has these people like insulting her intelligence on the day to day. Like you said, the sexual harassment, just being completely demeaned. And it was hard for me to watch. So when she's in that car, I was like passionate about her
and like,
angle of things,
like, oh, yeah,
because
she's going to work, but no, we're not living the same 24 hours.
Yeah, I think I was passionate about it because, like, he doesn't get that. Like, he kept telling her, like you said, like, to suck it up and it'll be okay and just make the sandwiches is kind of what he was saying, and just take your time. And I get that from his perspective of like, hey, we were probably only a month onto the job. And I think Nancy gives the feel and has kind of, she's driven, right? And I think sometimes she probably does have the tendency to kind of just bulldoze because she's so like driven into stuff, right? So I mean, I think she does have to be aware of like who she runs over and her quest to get to her goals. But I think in the case of what we saw, it's just like she can't even do the basic of getting coffee without being harassed, and that's just he got to be in the black room,
What do you think of Jonathan in season 4? Like, I didn't want to not say lying because I'm team Jonathan, but I mean, he lied. He withheld information from her, not saying like, oh yeah, I didn't apply to these colleges I told you I applied to. He lied to his mama and he lied to Nancy.
Yeah,
because he said he lied because he told his friend, our long-haired brethren, he told him like, yeah, because I don't want her to just like give up everything she wants. I think it's Emory or something like that, right? Is at the school, like give up everything she wants and I go to this school and just move here with me. And I'm like, who said she gonna do that? Like, you're not even giving her the option. And first of all, you live in California. Woe is me. The girl would move to a university in California that's closer to her boyfriend. Like, and I just feel like that's infantilizing her a little bit, taking away her autonomy. And what if she didn't even do that? What if she was like, okay, cool, you're going to do that, and I'm going to go to this college that I said I was going to go to? Yeah,
he was making a lot of decisions for her. I have one more thought that just popped up when you mentioned like her obsessing over the rats, and I have a thought on that, and maybe that'll be a good transition to talking about some other scenes in the episode. But I'll briefly touch on Jonathan. Jonathan is one of the least interesting characters on this show, and his relationship with Nancy. That's just my opinion. I just think he's one of the least interesting, and I think his relationship with Nancy, is it lacks excitement. It's kind of, it's kind of boring
Oh
for
my
me.
God. Are you
Um,
not team Jonathan? Are you team Steve?
Actually, I'm not either team. I actually
No.
think watching it a second time, it became even more clear for me. I'm not against him, by the way. I'm not against Jonathan. I think Jonathan's a good guy. I just think
I, I
he
don't want a
lacks
Topanga
character.
moment, bitch. Go to Harvard, go to Yale, go
He
to all
lacks
those stupid
charisma.
ass places.
He lacks charisma and things like that. But I think for me, what I'm seeing is like, I think the guys, Steve and Jonathan, really gained from Nancy. Like, I really think they were truly in love with Nancy, and
Mm.
she gave them like something they never had. I think Steve, you see the complete change in him. He talks about like, I found love and it turned me into a different person. I think Jonathan, like, he was always in the shadows and she saw him. And I think that, maybe he wouldn't have even been thinking about community college. Like, I think she really did something for Jonathan and Steve. And I'm not saying they didn't serve any purpose in her life, but I just think she gave to them a lot more. When I look at it back, I don't really think she's like super in love with these guys. I think Steve was a comfort, and I think Jonathan was trauma bonding. And
Okay, I need
and
a
at this point
pause.
in her
I need a
life,
pause.
but I know that's neither here nor there.
No, no, it's
Um,
here. It's right now, and I need to pause you right there because you can't make all these points and just drop these bombs and try to skate by. I disagree. Okay. I don't disagree on the point where, like, yes, I think they heavily benefited for her, and I think maybe if she would have never met these guys, she would have still been rising to the top, like the good things do, whatever. And I think I just think I don't want her to be a Rachel, to the Ross. Bitch, get on the plane. In my humble opinion, I don't want her to be Topanga. Like, no, Corey, y'all could be long distance. Why I had to be married? Like, who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it was been a couple years. Like, so I don't think that I necessarily want Nancy in that regard. I think she's so strong that she doesn't really need them. I'm other than like, okay, I'm going I'm going over two things in my head right now. You said that like you think that freaking Jonathan is the less charismatic. You were dropping so many bombs. I had to stop you. I have so many things to address right now. You said that you think that he is the less charismatic one on the show, but I think that is like
no.
I think
Just
that's
to be
oldest
clear,
child syndrome. Like I feel like all these YouTubers and stuff, they like talk about oldest child, so he doesn't have the capacity to be so
that is not
free when
true.
he's dealing with not only poverty, he's an adultified child. He's taking care of his mom. The whole premise of the show that started is because he was supposed to be watching Will, but he got a call from work and he thought that him and his family could use the money. And so Will was playing with his friend. He let him go with his friends, and Will came back on his own. He got snatched. And that was the fucking premise of like the whole, show. And I think that like there's so much guilt that was racked up in that. You still have to do the same day to day. Plus you're a student, and then now you have to think about your future. I don't think he has the fucking time to be charismatic. And I'm just speaking for, I'm just standing up as an only child, AKA ish only child who grew up as sort of an only child. Like, you got it different. So I'm just standing up for the adultified first children of the world who are impoverished as well. That's a whole another layer. He ain't got time to be so cool. And I say that conversely to Steve the Hare Harrington's journey. I feel like he had a huger character arc, which he was allowed to be charismatic because he was allowed to be a child. He's like, I think, a rich kid. Oh, I think he's rich, only child, popular in school, good at sports, and like he's got the hair. So he's douchey by all parameters. Like that's what you're supposed to be kind of as a high school kid. Jonathan, I feel like is leap years. Jonathan on the inside, I feel like is 35 years old. You know what I mean? So
you can,
I'm
I think
rambling because I merged my one point into another point.
and I won't drag us too deep into this. I'll just give a short reply to that. Clearly, of course, I disagree because your place in your family structure has nothing to do with your ability to be charismatic. What I will say is it can make you more withdrawn or more extroverted or more withdrawn. you can be a charismatic introvert. I have said this before, and it is shade, but no shade. I do think if it was played by a different actor, he could have been like a really like
Do you think
character that
that
I
Jonathan
attached
struggles
to.
with depression? Like even
Mhm.
before, like prior to like the pilot episode 1, before Will got snatched, do you think he was like just happy go lucky, or do you think he was struggling with his divorce?
I think
You
that
know,
all
and
of these characters probably struggle with some level of depression. That's why I don't disagree with you that he's parentified. We can go through a whole talk on that and like the relationship with Joyce, which you really see kind of highlighted in season 1. That's not what I'm debating. My thing is like you see it all the time, like Vampire Diaries and stuff like that. Like the broody character doesn't have to lack charisma. We see the bad
yeah.
boy be charismatic all the time. So I'm not saying he have to be a jock and be extroverted, but you can still be charismatic. That doesn't take away from his experience of being
Yeah, he was more
parentified.
like the emo kid, I guess.
Yeah, but just going back to your
The
to
emo
to your
artsy one.
larger point of his college thing, yeah, I think he did take away some of Nancy's autonomy to be able to choose where to go. I think you're right, like him wanting to stay home is just like yet another example of the responsibility he feels for his mother and his family, and he's felt that from a very young age. So I think that was him making those decisions. And yeah, it would suck to see Nancy settle in that way, like her parents did. Like I said, I think Steve is a comfort. I think they had a good connection for all the Steve and Nancy lovers. I think they had a good connection, but I think Steve was like a comfort. He was very much leaning into what her mom did, like the rich guy with the family, and that was him. And I think Jonathan was like more authentic
I
connection
think
because she
Steve
met
was not
him
ready
in
to
that.
hold the depth that's Nancy
Yeah, that's what
was.
I mean.
Like
They
her
both
friend
got.
died, right? Her friend Barb. Her friend literally died.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
where I
that's
was.
how
Yeah.
I think that's how season 2 starts, right? Like, she's like, I mean, her friend died in season 1, but I think season 2, the reason why her and Steve broke up is because, like, it's the anniversary of her friend's death. It's like the 1 year later, and she's struggling with that. And as somebody who recently lost somebody, I just can think of like, I already know preemptively. I'm like, 1 year from now is going to be a shitstorm. Like, I'm already preemptively thinking about it, so I can imagine for her, this Nancy, our fictional high school girl here. I like that is a struggle. And then Steve was basically like, well, like, let's move past it. Let's just get it's cool. Let's just move past it, as if like he didn't lose. He doesn't know Barb. It's not this person who's close to home. He's just trying to like
Exactly.
live his life. And maybe I don't know. One could be argued, is that the healthier response after everything they've gone through, or is that Steve's own version of his trauma response?
And that's how
trying not
Steve
to-
that's how Steve copes too. Like there was a moment in the show as well where like Steve goes over to her house and she's like practicing swinging the bat because she's about to go out with Jonathan, and he's all like he's trying to make her feel better, and he's like, hey, let's go to the movies. So I think you see like moments where Steve is like, he tries to lean it. That's how he copes. He tries to lean into the lightheartedness of things. And I think at that time she was feeling very heavy and she needed someone to be with her in the sadness. And one, she didn't express it, but Steve didn't know how to do that for her. But like that's just my opinion on these guys. I think Nancy is bigger than these guys, and I love that. Finally in season 4,
after she saw Jonathan in the after that, let's talk about that. So he did sort of give his olive branch trying to help, but at that point Nancy was already in this like other case and dealing with supernatural stuff. So, and didn't, necessarily, because she was doing this thing with Jonathan, didn't necessarily want to be leaning on him, on her boyfriend at the time, I guess. But after that, he came back and he kind of climbed in her window to try to get her to go to the movies with him after all. And Jonathan was there because it was super scary. That's when they were into that portal and they like got snatched, and it was super scary. This is season 1 or season 2 or something like that. And after they got snatched, she didn't want to sleep alone. And so, so I think this is definitely season 1, because I don't think Steve knew anything about this at the time. So Jonathan and her was sleeping in like the same bed, and he thought, when Steve looked at the window, he thought the worst, essentially. And then Steve let his douchey jock friend put like, Nancy Wheeler's a slut or whatever on the freaking town theater where everybody's grandma is going to drive by. We know who the Wheelers are, and it's just like so mortifying.
I guess like I guess
Little things
for
like
me,
that was
like
just like, come on, Steve.
and Steve completely grew past that and has completely proven himself. But I
Totally.
think from my
And
perspective,
he
I think like
apologized.
this show is like continue, and I'm glad they're shifting away from that, but they continue to show Nancy in the context of men. And I don't think that's what
Yeah.
Nancy needs. And I think that's why it's so great in season 4 that they finally gave her a female friend. Because if you really notice it, like Nancy has no friends. Barb was her only friend in the world, which is why she's dealing with such grief and such regret because she literally
Yeah,
lost the only friend she has.
I don't think
And
that Nancy is a popular girl. I think we were
no,
seeing
she's not.
her. I think she just happens to be rich and really pretty, so people kind of like
And I don't even think she's
gravitate
rich.
to
I
her.
think she's
But I
middle
think like
class.
yeah, I think
Yeah, she's middle
season
class and she's
1.
nerdy. Yeah.
I think season 1 is when she was getting around Steve and all that. I think that's why she was excited to sort of be around Steve and go to his house and do all these things on the pool. Cause it's like, oh my God. And she's like, come Barb, like we're getting into kind of in crowd. That kind of makes me think of Manny and, Emma from, Degrassi kind of during that time when Manny was kind of like getting out there and Emma was like, I don't know about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like what I was saying there is like, yeah, she is. You see her like she's smart, she's studious. She's actually trying to study with Steve in season 1. He's trying to like make out, she's trying to study. So like her and Barb are the nerdy girls, you know, she's the girl that does everything right. I actually think meeting Steve was the first time she like accessed that kind of being wild side of herself. And that's when Barb was like, hey, this is not like you. Then she loses Barb. And like I said, I think Barb was her only friend. So you can imagine the guilt that comes with like losing your only friend that you've ever had. And she doesn't get another friend. The rest of the show is just her being framed in the context of these men. And I think season 4, she meets Robin and like she meets Robin and like she finally gets this female connection where she's not like leaning on that. And to me, that's what Nancy needs. I don't think Steve is what she needs because Steve wants that family life. And I think Nancy clearly wants something more. And I think Jonathan, because of his poverty and because of the, you know, being parentified and all of these different things, he hasn't even allowed himself to dream because his family has been in constant like drama and trauma. And he's thinking small town and Nancy's thinking big town. So I don't think either of these guys serve what like Nancy needs. I think Nancy needs friends and I think Nancy needs to go discover who she is. So like that's what I was saying earlier in terms of like neither like they did like Nancy did more for them, but I don't think they're doing the same for Nancy. I think Nancy actually gets more out of her relationship with Robin than like she gets from these male relationships. And I hope the show ends with her leaning into her friendships and like that stuff like that.
I feel like, and just talking about Steve's character arc, or just to wrap that up, I'm proud. I feel like he's where he was supposed to be and learning all the lessons that a teenage young man is supposed to be learning at this time. And I think that because of that, I don't think Nancy is necessarily, you know, as they say, girls mature faster than boys. I think that Nancy just, in terms of emotional maturity and emotional intelligence, is surpassing him in certain ways where like my friend is dead. I need you to not try to move past that. I need us to address the situation. And he couldn't do such things versus Jonathan. He, you know, like he can because I feel like does Jonathan have another layer other than deep? I feel like, you know, maybe that's something that Jonathan needs to work on. Maybe Nancy, hopefully, maybe in terms of actually what you were saying, like what did, you know, Jonathan get from her? Because she obviously enhanced her lives in a lot of ways. Maybe she brought more lightness and gentleness and fun into.
I think that is Steve definitely brought that fun into Jonathan's life. Like I said, and people don't have to agree, Jonathan was a trauma bond.
You said Steve
brought
into
the light into her. Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
Okay.
Steve brought the light. Yeah, no, Steve brought the light. Steve brings the light into everybody's life, to be honest. But Steve brought the light into Nancy's life. And I think Jonathan brought like the compassion and the trauma bonding and like we're in this together to her life. So he did, like they both added something. I'm being a little, tongue in cheek when I say that I never said they didn't add anything. I just said that she added more to them. And I think what she needs is bigger than both of these guys.
Yeah.
But circling back around to like the episode, you mentioned like the perspective of like she looks crazy. She's talking about these rats and all of these different things in there. And I think this is like a great connector to like the scene later in the episode, because I think what's happening with Nancy is like Nancy's very like logical and driven, but I think she has like intuition as well. And I think, you know, when she like hears these rats stories, she's like, wait, it's something going on here. Like, I feel like I should pursue it. And that's something that's not being like seen by the men and the, you know, and even her boyfriend. They don't get that intuition. But like, I also think like Mike's very intuitive. Mike's very intuitive. Nancy's very intuitive, and like Mrs. Wheeler, to an extent, is very intuitive. And if you look at the rest of the episode, that's what happens when she gets back home. Her mom just senses that something's off, and she's like, "Hey, you good?" And her, you know, like her mother intuition is like, "Something's off," and Nancy's like, "I'm fine." Mrs. Wheeler goes up those stairs, and she like trying to check in, like, "All right, you sure you good in there?" And I think it's like that connection between their.
I gotta say, this woman, Mrs. Wheeler. For 3 years, we have seen this woman struggle. Not 3 years, I guess, whatever, 3 seasons. We have struggled to find this woman from like day one has been like, kids, you know, you can talk to me. If you ever need anything, you know, I'm here for you. You know, you can always come to me. She is so sweet and like such an adorable, cute mom. And no one has ever gone to her. Finally, season 3, as B was like displaying, take it away. Like she's walking up the stairs. She knocks. She turns away, and then
and she turns away, and then lo and behold, her kids actually take her up on her offer to like share with her. And I really love this scene, and it wasn't until I like had a chance to rewatch it, because of course I noticed the scene, but I felt the scene the second time.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole series.
Yeah. And for me, I love the dynamic. You see the scene, and it's like Nancy's on the counter and her mom's standing up. And right there, to me, it's like, it's almost like Nancy's in this childlike state where the kids on the counter kicking their legs and their parents standing there and they're having this discussion. No, of course, Nancy's not kicking her legs.
On that.
Yeah, Nancy's not kicking her legs, but it just she is very much putting herself in this childlike state where she's like confused and she's looking for her mother's guidance. So I really love that. And then as they're talking, if you want to like look at the subtle cues, as they're talking, Mrs. Wheeler eventually like eventually like joins her on the countertop. And like, to me, that was symbolic of like, now we're kind of on the same level and we're feeling the same vulnerabilities and like, you know, the same stuff. So I think just how it's like set up to me is really beautiful as well. So we can get into some of the context, but I'll let you start us off there.
I love that. Just taking it from that moment she sat on the table on the counter with her. I think that's the moment, you know, she was saying like, you know, I did XYZ when I was younger, and then she looked at Nancy and she was like, but that's not you. You're brave. I love that. I think that it was one of those moments of like hunched over, vulnerable, maybe childlike, you know, energy, and then like taking that power and like shifting it towards Nancy, like, but there could be a new paradigm. And she was like, who cares about these small town people? If you think you're right, go chase your case and find out how right you are, and then sell it to the Chicago Tribune, like the national paper. Like, who cares about these talking guys? And I think that was like literally the best advice a parent could have given in that moment, you know, as somebody whose parent once gave her advice, like, okay, well, you could just quit. You could just give up. Like, Nancy's mom hit it on hit the nail on the head. Even though I'm sure Nancy's mom doesn't necessarily want to be a wife, she is a great mom. And maybe that's one of the many reasons she's staying in this marriage. That's another conversation.
And I don't think she's and I don't think she's I don't think she's a perfect mom, and I don't think she's as available as she thinks she is. I think there's reasons why her kids don't always take her up on her offer. But I mean, she is a very caring mom, and she cares. And compared to their dad, she is light years ahead. But I
have not necessarily seen anything that's not top notch from Nancy's mom in terms of motherhood. But if you would, other than like every other 80s damn mom in this show where they don't know where their damn kids are.
Yeah. Exactly, and we have to take that into account that you don't know where your kids are.
I mean,
I
that's
think we
just
also
standard
have
motherhood
to.
at that point, it seems.
No, I think the thing with Miss Wheeler is, and it's not always your fault when your kids don't come to you, but I think she is like put in a situation where she is a mom of, I think, the 80s, and she has like a 5-year-old. So I don't think she's always as available as she thinks she is. I think there's moments where she's available and she's like, come to me, but I don't think she's always as available as she thinks she is to her children. But she has like what you need the most, which I think is like, care and compassion. But going back to the scene, I want to add to what you were saying. So I set the stage for like visually what stood out, but the wording to me, I left this scene being like, oh my God, Mrs. Wheeler's life is so sad. And I think that's also, another reason why it can probably be hard for her at times to like always show up for people, because it's like, look at her life. But when you're watching this scene, I'm going to break it down. I know you guys have already seen it, but I'm going to break it down. So they're in the kitchen and she's like, talking to Nancy, and Nancy's like explaining everything. And Nancy was like, I thought I was right. And she was like, was you right? And Nancy was like, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't want to be wrong, because if I'm wrong, then like, it'll prove that what they thought about me was correct. And her mom kind of finishes her sentence there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they have like the next part of the conversation, which was like so beautiful, but also just to me so gut wrenching and so sad, where Mrs. Wheeler is like, it's not easy out there, Nancy. Like, this world will beat you up. It will step on you and crush you again and again until and then she was like, I mean, people. But she really meant until I give up, right? And I think she's talking about like how much.
That's why she was afraid. Damn. And do you think that's what a lot of people think? Like, I'm just afraid, so let me just stay in this relationship because it's scary.
She's all like, and they telling you you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not good enough, and they crush you and they push you down over and over again. And then she's like, to the point where and she tried to play it off like she was talking about people, but she was like, until I gave up. And I think Mrs. Wheeler's story is so sad to me, because she's a clear case of someone who has settled. She's settled in her marriage. You can see that she settled, because that's why she is so almost easily persuaded by Billy. Billy is, like, okay, he's a handsome young man, but like, she's a grown woman about to sleep with this kid,
Mm-hmm.
And I think, why is that happening? Because she's getting attention, like her kids don't always give her attention. She feels like she's somebody that's like in the PTA and stuff too. So I don't like really think she has a lot of time.
That's like such a common stereotype now. Like, it's the bored, lonely soccer mom who's like engaging with this teenage, like and
I think they were like showing. I think they were showing like she's a mom of that era. Like, she has completely settled, and she's saying that she's like, the world just pushes you until you give up. And I think she like hops on the counter, and now they're continuing their conversation, and she's like, Nancy, you're a fighter. And Nancy actually she's like, I don't know where you got that from. And Nancy jokes, and she's like, I got it from Dad. And they both have a good laugh on that, because there's no way anyone got.
Well, they did not get it from Dad.
No one got anything for Dad. But then she throws it back to her mom, and she's like, I got it from you, Mom. And I know it felt good to her, because like I said, like, Billy hitting on her felt so good that she was almost willing to go through with it. So I know she was touched by her daughter's words, but you can tell in that moment she cannot take those words in. She can't, because she doesn't believe she's a fighter. She doesn't see that, because she settled in her life. And when she looks around, it's like nothing but like, I settled. And how do I know this? Because her next sentence, she literally says, well, wherever you got it from. Letting us know that she could not take the compliment from her own daughter about her being a fighter. She doesn't see that in herself.
I feel like in Mrs. Wheeler's defense, like, we are in this 21st century. We forget that, like, it's only a few decades ago that women had the right to vote, that we had the right to an education, that like we can get a credit card without a man, that we can buy a home without a man. Like, it's so fucking crazy to even think that. Like, why would I need a man be in my business at all? Like, if I never wanted a man around, I should be able to not have a man. But that's like not how society was fostered. And rather, it was like the 80s, you know what I mean? So at that point, she had been born in like the 60s, right? Like, it was probably, this is how she was raised. Get grown, find a man, only go to college to find a man who's educated while you're at college to grow with him so he can give you his money and protect you. And like,
and not only like,
and not only be like that, but she fell into the scheme of
she clearly doesn't want to. she clearly doesn't want to be like that. That's why, like, you see her looking at her husband and kind of frowning, and she almost slept with a kid. So she clearly has settled. She clearly doesn't want to.
When she was talking to Jonathan, didn't she even say that? Like, I think my mom has never loved my dad.
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, that's where my whole premise is coming from. Like, all of this stuff I'm saying is like factual information. Like, she clearly settled. They're constantly giving you clues that she settled. And I think in that moment where like her daughter is calling her a fighter and she can't like take the compliment to me is like so sad. And maybe she's never had anybody do what you just did, which is to break down like, hey, Mrs. Wheeler, like, you were just a product of your environment. Like, you just did what you thought was best and you just went with the flow. Because she said every time she tried, someone would tell her she's not good enough, she's not smart enough, and she just gave up. And that's like, it happens. It's not her fault. However, I just think it's sad to see like someone in that case who has like completely given up and you can't even take in like the compliment that you're a fighter. I don't know. For me, it was just like when I left that scene, I was just like, oh my God, Mrs. Wheeler's life is just so sad. She still has the fighter in her, by the way, but like, I just think it's so sad in that moment. So that's, anyway, for me, that's what stood out in that scene. Of course, the mother-daughter moment was beautiful, but yeah.
Oh, you froze a little bit. What did you say there?
Oh, sorry, yours did too. No, I was just saying like, the mother-daughter moment I think was beautiful, but I think it stood out to me just how much like the mothers of that time, how much women have settled. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Except for Joyce, which I love, you know. I think Joyce may be the black sheep in this neighborhood. Maybe like all the other women dress the same. And Joyce is like, no, I'm the woman who works at a hardware store and I'm going to wear this like flannel shirt. And I'm like, my son is going to work too because he wants to, because that's the kind of son he is. And like, I think she's the one who's like, no, I will be willing to get divorced because I ain't going to deal with no BS, you know, in my house.
Yeah. And off the top of my head, I can't remember if she left him or if he left her, but it sounds like a total Joyce thing to be like, get out of my life. So
I totally feel like she totally was like, go. And then he was like, all right, if I'm gone, then I'm going to be no child support. No, I'm never going to talk to you. Like, I'm going to have a new life, new life. Like, you know, he decided to be, you know, a Rolling Stone or a piece of shit, but she decided just not have him in the house. Those are different things. Which is cool. I love that we get to really see, like, in some regards, you know, in this small town Hawkins, she's the radical woman, Joyce, versus like Nancy's mom, Mrs. Wheeler. What's her name? Do we even know her first name?
Karen. Yeah, Karen. Wheeler. Mm-hmm.
Karen Wheeler. Awesome. I'm like, does she have a name? Versus like a woman who's just staying in this to, I don't know, so her kids can have a good life, some money, because she doesn't have to struggle, because her family probably told her, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the good, right thing as a mom. This is the Christian thing, you know?
I just think, yeah, like, Karen Wheeler is like in the shadows of her own life, you know? And
she's
I just
like,
think,
so beautiful. You could do so much, queen. Why is she modeling?
Yeah, and it's just like, that's why she kind of lights up when, you know, this high schooler, you know, gives her some shine, because it's like, she's in the shadows of her own life and she was like looking for something. But it was so good to see that scene, because
the most play she got.
Yeah, it's good to see that scene, because you see she was so much more, and like in the alternate universe, her and Joyce in my mind would be best friends, because they're both kind of intuitive. I think they both have like an inner fire in them, you know, so yeah.
I think it was really sweet when Mrs. Wheeler season 1 came over to Joyce's house with like, you know, food, because Will left. I was like, oh, that's actually so sweet of her, you know, so sweet.
That's what I meant about like, I don't know. That's what I meant about like, I don't know, like how available she really is, because I feel like she puts her hands in a lot of pots to stay busy from her life, you know? So I think she's probably like in PTA. You know, she actually went to go check on Barb's parents too. Like, there was a moment where after Will's fake body was discovered, she was talking to Mike and she was like, hey, I'm going to go check on Barb's family, Barb's parents. So yeah, she has a big heart.
She's a sweetie. I want so much more for her. I want her to just get a divorce, and I don't know. I feel like I want her to. This is what I have for her that just popped in my head. I want her to open up a modeling agency, like the first modeling agency of Hawkins, because they have a newspaper. There's different ads and different businesses and stuff like that. And I want her to have like a small town thing, and she just makes enough to, take care of herself and take care of her kids, and just like do the damn thing. I love that for her. I love that. And then maybe she also becomes a photographer. Boom. Just be or something. Like, I just feel like entrepreneurial spirit in her or something. Or maybe she can be a receptionist in corporate and work her way up, a secretary or something.
Whatever it is, like, it would be so great to see her, like, in some ways connected to a passion. I mean, season 5 has like so much to do, so I don't know how much more we'll get to see of her story, but even if she's stuck in that, because some people don't believe in divorce and all of those type of things, I think it will be good to see her like lean into like her identity and discovering who she is and what are her passions as an adult, and like what is your identity outside of being a mom.
I would love to wrap up this episode of season 3, episode 4, talking about Mike. You already mentioned him. Mike also, one of the other Wheeler kids. But before we talk about that, can we talk about the third Wheeler kid? I wish this kid did not exist. This child is the most unnecessary character. I'm watching season 4 with my boyfriend, and she just says something like, it was a disaster. Everybody's like on the hunt for all the children, and all the parent moms are standing next to each other, and then the baby's like, "Mama boo boo," or something unnecessary. And then dad's like, "No, honey, like, can we just not?" I'm sorry.
I always thought she was completely useless, and I hated kind of her existence. And not her as a person, just like, I don't want her to exist. I don't know why, it just always annoyed me, because to me it added to the weight of Mrs. Wheeler's life, and I love Karen. But now we know maybe the Duffel brothers, like, they kind of already had a vision for what the show would look like, and I know they plan on using Holly, her name is Holly, the third Wheeler kid. They plan on using her, and yeah, they've already been in the trailer.
Awesome.
So they cast someone to play her, and it's already in the trailer. So maybe that's her pure existence is for season 5, maybe.
Okay,
But,
maybe where there's a will, where there's a way. Because I feel like in Boy Meets World, I'm sorry, Morgan, if you did not exist, it would not change the series. It would not change it. Even the episodes that are about Morgan, I swear, it would not change the series whatsoever if those were.
And maybe, like, if we say before season 5, what role did Holly play, and like, why do we even need her? I think it was like literally the only reason why Mrs. Wheeler didn't go meet up with Billy. She came down the stairs and she saw her daughter.
I remember the kid was snuggled up with Mr. Wheeler on the couch.
She saw her daughter, and like, that's the only reason why she didn't go. So,
do you think Mrs. Wheeler is a Republican? Because we saw on one of the seasons on Nancy's house, there was like Wheelers were Republicans, but I don't know if Mrs. Wheeler is. I feel like she is by default of her husband or something like that.
I can definitely see her, like, they're just, and maybe the husband's the one that put that out there, and maybe she go vote privately and she don't tell him how she votes. But I don't know, like, Mike is best friends with Lucas, and Lucas is a black male, and they live kind of like almost next door to each other. Lucas and Mike live the closest to each other. So I want to hope that, like, you have a black family, you're going Democratic. But then again, some of these parties have shifted over time, so what was Republican is now Democratic, and all those things. So
okay, it was 1984 during the season. The Wheeler family supports Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So, Mr. Wheeler. Well, I mean, are we surprised? Soon as the cops came to their house looking for 11, literally the first thing out of that man's mouth is like, "Oh, we obey the law. We listen to the law," or something. I'm like, very Republican coded. I'm like, okay, cool.
And it's interesting too, like, the first time that Mike barely ever mentions his parents, but like, he'll never say, "I'm gonna go tell my dad." He's all like, "My mom will know what to do," So
that's hilarious.
No one's following the dad's lead.
Back to Mike. He walked in on that same episode because was it 11 moved or something? Or was it maybe it wasn't the same episode, but it was that season. 11 and Joyce and Jonathan, they moved to California to get as far away as possible from Hawkins.
Not in season 3. Season 3 was the breakup between them. I love season 3 because it's all child energy. Like, Elle and Mike are fighting, and
your ass.
Yes, and it's like
after the last season, they got back together. Season 3 is the best. Season 3 is my favorite season, hands down.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's gold.
It's great. That's when we get Max, we get I Dump Your Ass, we get 11's fashion, we get a lot more daddy-daughter stuff between 11 and that's like season 3. As somebody who's currently binge watching it, yes. Eddie makes season 4 magical, and season 4 is an honorable mention, but it's like season 3, season 4, season 1, and then season 2 for me. In that order.
I guess before we close, I guess I'll go out. Oh, did I?
No, I want to go back to Will, and I want to dissect that scene on the last episode, I think, of season 3, where 11's moving and he's sad, and finally he goes to Mrs. Wheeler and he hugs her in the kitchen. He's like, "What's wrong?" And then I feel like it's vindicated. She finally gets that moment of connection with both of her kids. I just love that. And I honestly want her to divorce her husband, and I want her and Nancy just to go to California together or something. Go to New York City. I think New York. Honestly, New York.
Mm-hmm.
LA's a little bit more expensive. They get a smaller town. They can be together, do their newspapery thing,
Not a lot of thoughts separate from what you had about that. Like, I do think it was a clear moment of vulnerability for Mike. And I think, in his vulnerability, who did he turn to in terms of parental figures? It was his mom. And I was happy for her because she's constantly like, guys, I'm here for you. I do think one misstep that we saw was like when they find Will's fake body, the dad actually has a rare moment of caring about somebody. And he's like, should we go talk to him? And she's like, he'll come to us. And I think sometimes with Miss Wheeler, you can actually go to your kids. But I do think that it was fine that and I think it's good that she gives her kids space. I'm just saying sometimes you can actually approach your children.
It's really annoying. I just thought of this. I feel like with all the main kids, Will, Dustin, all them, we know everything about the parent dynamic, but we don't know much about where's Dustin's dad? Did he die? Are they divorced and she's getting alimony? How does she afford to live in this neighborhood not too far away as a single mom's paycheck? I feel like I want to know more about the insights of that after 4 freaking seasons, and we never have gotten this context of a snippet. Where is his dad? Is he?
Yeah, maybe we get it. I don't know if he passed away, and maybe that's where they get the money from. I've had that conversation with friends as well of where's Dustin's, thing? But next season he's obviously going to be depressed from the Eddie thing, and maybe they'll bring up maybe how he lost the dad.
I don't know. The trailer. We'll I don't want to know anything. I'm too excited. I should probably watch this trailer.
Yeah, no. So usually I don't watch, but they've been reaching me. The energy of the new season is coming up. But yeah, that's what I think about the season is that it's kind of cool that she got that moment because I'm happy for her, and her kids are really why she's living. They're the only happiness that she has in her life. So I was happy that they allowed themselves to lean on her, and she was there for them.
Yeah, she got pregnant young. She said that's what Nancy said. So. She's following the script of what she thinks she's supposed to do. And if I do anything in my life, I'm just strip this fucking respectability politics, these identity politics away from society and just be yourself. Your favorite character, your favorite season.
Do I have either of those? Okay, but maybe. Okay, I'm a Mike. So I guess Mike and Max will probably be tied, but then Lucas, gosh, that's really hard. I don't know if I've actually selected my favorite character. That's tough. If we have to do a spitball fire, you'll ask me tomorrow and it'll be different, but I gotta go with Max, I think. Max. But if I had to go with one of the boys, it would probably be kind of tied between Lucas and Mike. I see a lot of myself in Mike, but vibe wise, as far as essence, it's kind of a little bit Lucas. So
I think of my favorite character, just I want to hang out with this guy, and he's mostly right all the time. Is Dustin Drumroll. Dustin. And then if we're being all gendered here, I will choose Max and Nancy because I can't decide. Max is fucking hilarious. She's so fucking funny. She's got her spunk and that fire, and I love seeing her healing journey over her stepbrother dying to save her essentially. Justice for Billy. No, I guess it's so sad. Everybody's like, oh no, Billy wasn't racist. Sure, but he's also a teenager. He went through a lot. His mama died, divorce, all the things. He's moved from California. He's.
Yeah, I don't think his death doesn't like redeem the fact that he was racist and probably abusive, but like, it gives he went out on the right tip.
Exactly. You went out on top, brother. At least we're allowed to talk about you and miss you. If you died before that, it would have just been like, but now you actually died saving Max and saving all of us. Your soul came up just in time to save the day. And so now we get to, love you.
Oh my God, favorite characters. Oh my God, I just realized, yeah. See, the rewatch has me. I've been so focused on Mike. I'm actually putting out a Mike video on YouTube. So Mike's been my focus, but I forgot. Yeah, sorry. Hopper is actually my favorite character. So I was thinking about the kids. Hopper is like my favorite probably character. I just get a lot of joy out of his character, but from the kids, it would be like a trifecta. I think it's not even appropriate for me to pick out of the kids. It's definitely Mike, Lucas, and Max for the kids. And as far as
adult characters. Oh, continue. What?
No, I was going to actually answer your question about the seasons. It's
like my adult characters. I think that Joyce is my favorite. I think Joyce, because again, Joyce. It's just like mostly being right, but everybody looks at you like you're crazy is something I still resonate with. So like most of the time, I feel like Joyce, Nancy, and Dustin are the most right. So I think that's why they're my favorites. Favorite season.
Yeah. So favorite season, after rewatching it right now, it's probably like tied between 3 and 4, but I'm gonna say 3 just because to me, that's when I like kind of fell in love with the show. But season 4 is just like beautiful. Season 4 was just, Kate Bush and like Max's acting and like the tear, the way I cried with Lucas in that, in that attic. It's just, season 4 could be my number one.
Dude, I cannot let you go without. I just got to. We got to talk about Eddie because Eddie is dead. I don't think we're gonna see him in season 5. If it is, it's like a glimpse of a flashback or a dream, or like we saw dead zombie Billy in season 4. Think maybe we'll have a dead zombie Eddie or haunting Dustin's dreams or something. But like. Gosh, just Eddie was just such a light, and the way that was so crafted. They said the Duffer Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said they wrote that scene over and over and over again, or that episode. And I love, just his opening scene, Eddie, when he's in the cafeteria and he's all like, I just got one more month and then I'm out of here. Like he was like the beginning of the rest of his life. And then going from Chrissy, that scene. Honestly, that scene between Chrissy and him, iconic in the woods. I feel like that goes down in like sci-fi TV girl boy romance like history. It was so pure, and it was just like such a simple scene that in my mind I saw them bitches 10 years down the line. I'm like, okay, so they married, they got 2 kids together, boom, like let me see this TV show just of them, these 2 characters. And
yeah, they have really great chemistry, and that chemistry for me doesn't even have to be like romantic. It could be like a friendly, like best friends for life energy, but they really had good like on screen chemistry.
I feel like we saw in the cafeteria scene, that was like our introduction to Eddie. We saw like his humor and his charisma and his desires for the future. But in that scene, as I hit the microphone, that's how excited I am. As he in that scene when they're just together alone in the woods trying to do the drug deal, I feel like that's where we saw like his heart, because she was like all twitching out, looking around, and like multiple times was like, we can leave anytime you want, like we don't have to do this. And when she got extra freaked out, he got like kind of low-key offended, like and it's just like, how dare you think that I'm gonna hurt you? He didn't say that, but that was like the energy. Like, we don't need to be here right now. Like, I could be up in class. I'm ditching school for you right now, okay? Cause like that was the energy, and I just show his heart. Like, okay, he's sweetie pie. Like he doesn't want to hurt her. Cool. And then he got like very boyish. Like, we know each other. I don't know if you remember me. Like, and then he's like, and then he was like, nah, it's cool. I remember he did the dagger to the heart thing. Like, he like fell to the ground. I love that. He's like, and it was so adorable. I'm like, okay, now we see your boyish side, your flirty side, your playful side. Like, it was your adorable childlike energy. And then like that proves to us who've only seen Eddie in 3 scenes at that point, when his uncle says to Nancy, you know, after all the cops and stuff talked to him, he was like, you know, he's got all this hair and tattoos, but like Eddie would never hurt a fly, if you know him. Like, and that's how us, even if we didn't even see, I kind of wished in an alternate reality, I'm like, would the audience actually believe Eddie? You know, if we didn't actually see, if we just saw the scene of them in the woods and we never saw them go back to Eddie's uncle's house, you know what I mean? And then it just like popped up, she's dead, and then nobody knows where Eddie is, and then boom, Dustin is calling Eddie and we find him. Would we as an audience believe Eddie after seeing just those 2 scenes at that point? I feel like we would. I feel like that cute little adorable boyish motherfucker ain't killing nobody. You know what I mean? Like, oh no. But like alternate reality, we could never know. After in that second scene with them in the woods, after he did the whole boyish thing, and then she was like, a click, like, oh, yes, I have seen your band. He's like, oh, like, she remembers me. He's like, well, you know, we play every Tuesday. And then that gets us to know him further. Like, he has a standing gig every Tuesday. I think he's like, yeah, only 5 people were there. But no, dude, you're a teenage band and you have a standing gig every week. You know what I mean? And that gets us like further, like, okay, fine, maybe he doesn't have the best grades in school and maybe he's not planning for college, but he's an entrepreneur. It takes a lot to keep a band. He's a fucking artist. He's creative. Like, it gets us all these little insights into Eddie. And just like that scene for me alone was just so beautiful and iconic. And I just remember watching it for the freaking first time. Yeah. And then she dies. And can I say, when I've been watched season 4, they saved all the graphic, really gruesome crap for season 4. I'm kind of afraid. Like, that was graphic for me. Seeing Chrissy's bones crack, I was like, for a second, I was like, are they allowed to show me this? Like, is this PG-13? Like, what is going on? And then, like, I loved his character arc from caring. I mean, from like leaving her and like being so sad when he like saw everybody, like, I left her, like, I shouldn't have left her, you know? Like, she shouldn't, and that was so sweet of him to even say that. And then like his character arc, saving Dustin's life. Like, no, I'm not going to be the guy. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out being proud of myself, helping somebody, because that's fucking all that matters in life. And he's got so self-actualized.
I mean, to be real, he didn't save Dustin, but yeah, he helped save the world. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to give him his credit. Yeah. Because Dustin was safe. He actually made
Well, yeah, he made sure Dustin was happening right there with Dustin.
He made sure Dustin was back in our reality, outside of the upside down, that he cut the rope. So Dustin was safe. And he just wanted to buy us more time to kill Vecna. So he was instrumental in that.
That guitar solo.
It was awesome. You know what? All right, this is gonna burst the bubble, but hey, for the people who disagree, they disagree. I really think Eddie and Christy's chemistry was great. I remember watching it for the first time and being like, this is something, like, they got an energy here. Like, this is something fun to watch. If this was another show, I'll be interested to see where this goes.
Honestly, I would be like Jonathan and Nancy, who, if Christy was alive, I'm like, all right, give it
chemistry. That's chemistry. That's charisma. I mean, when I talked about that earlier, if you guys are wondering what it is, that's what it is.
Eddie's dripping with charisma. You're literally the definition of it. That's why Steve is jealous of him.
You remember my band and stuff like that. Like, I think, that did show his soft side. Like, he was willing to make a fool of himself by like falling all into the grass and stuff and into the leaves, with Christy. And I think, he, genuinely is a good guy. And I did feel for him having, like, when he was like, yeah, this is my year. And I think that was really sad. I think I was shocked by, he profiles as somebody I should have, like, felt more emotion with when he died. And, like, I'm sad that he's gone. No, I mean, yeah, of course. From a human perspective, I did. I was sad that he didn't get the year and stuff like that. But, like, when Bob died, and I feel like I knew less about Bob. When Bob died, that really, like, hit me. I was like, dang, Bob's such a good guy.
I am so sorry. Goonie lover.
When Bob died.
I have not seen the Goonies, so I don't have this emotional connection that you guys have with this man. I
didn't even know he was in that. This is just me. For anybody that's listening,
I literally like a sci-fi, like cult actor. Like, everybody
don't
loves
know him that way. Yeah, don't know him that way.
I'm sorry, Bob. I feel the opposite. How you feel?
We're the opposite. Yeah, like no, I really felt that about Bob, and maybe it was just something genuine about like this guy who was a simple guy who like just wanted to love on Joyce and had no ill will, and like he was like, I want to be a part of your family, and as soon as he became part of her family, he died like 2 hours later. So, and like, I mean, I'm not saying I was like a blumbering mess over him, but it was hard, like seeing him just like be ripped apart by demodogs and dead in that. But anyway, with Eddie's like funny, charismatic, all this stuff. I don't know what it was. I feel like I was trying to ponder it like when I watched it again, when I was in my rewatch of like, why wasn't I like more like, I don't know if the season was just so intense so I cared about everybody else, which made me feel like I cared about him less. I think that's probably what it was. I think if you would have put him in Bob's season, I would have probably been all on Eddie. But there was so much going on. I just hit it. I think that's what it is, because Eddie profiles to be someone that I would love, but for some reason, like it was just like I wasn't as like deeply like wounded when he died. I was, sad for it. I was more like when I did tear up, I was more tearing up for Dustin, and then I had a little bit of like some empathy for Eddie, but it wasn't like, oh man, Eddie. But now that I'm talking to you out loud, I think it's because it was so much going on. I was so worried about Max. I was so worried about like
3 other people died. Max broke a leg.
I was so worried about like, no, I was so worried about our actual like saving the world that I think I didn't really get. That has to be that, because Eddie profiles to be somebody I would like really be into, but it felt flat for me. But now I'm getting it. I was too worried about Max and Lucas, and Erica was being hemmed up on the ground, and I was like a weird representation of how Black women are treated by like police officers and white men. So I think it was just like a lot going on in one episode that like I wasn't really able to absorb a lot of maybe my Eddie feelings. So yeah.
And that season was a lot. They had the angry mob of like scary white people trying to go after Eddie with this street justice that the Hawkins Police Department was so ill-equipped to deal with, because only 3 motherfuckers who were working in that police station in the first place. Oh gosh. Well, we could literally talk more and more, and we will. Honestly, the new season is again out next week, the day before the day before Thanksgiving. There's 4 episodes are dropping, and then a couple weeks later, there's a few more episodes dropping in the week of Christmas, I believe. The final episodes are dropping. So within the next month or so, we will be coming back to kind of catch up on the character development of everybody and all our favorite characters. But until then, I'll reluctantly wrap up this conversation.
Literally, me and her can talk for hours about any and all things. She's such an intellectual. She literally has multiple degrees, and I think she literally has 5 degrees, seriously, like a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degrees, and 2 associate's degrees. Like, it's crazy. We just love dissecting character analysis between her psychology and like a mental health background to my theater arts background and acting background. We just dive deep into character analysis and have a ball. Come back for the next episodes will be our Palestine episode, and the week after that we will be recapping episodes 1 through 4 of season 5 of Stranger Things. I love this show. I never want it to end. The Duffer Brothers are geniuses. I can't wait to potentially make something so genius and bring it all together. Have a great day. Drink a lot of water. Say hi to strangers. Keep the faith alive and fight the system. Bye.